You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WYPC.
WCYTV
Here on the Daily Signal.
I gotta be real. I was not expecting to come into this week with a new couple of polls that are exceptionally devastating for those on the left. You've been hearing a lot of the naysaying, the doom and gloom, how the Democrats are, they're totally going to get it all together and they're going to ride forth. They're going to sally forth ahead, full speed, maybe into a brick wall. According to a couple of new polls, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the socialist representative from New York, her words, not mine, she is now apparently the Democrat that voters most believe reflect core Democratic values. Check it out.
This begs a larger question about who is, in fact, the leader of the Democratic Party. And a recent poll showed Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez topping the list of Democrats who best represent the party's values. Senator Schumer got just 2% in that poll, and it's been a big concern for months. So the Faulkner Focus went out to ask the question, who is the leader of the party?
Oh, God, the House is completely in shambles, so I couldn't tell you.
They don't really have a standout leader right now.
Who is it? Beats me.
There isn't one.
I have no idea.
AOC and Bernie, it's like a duo.
I guess probably Barack Obama at this point, or George Clooney.
AOC maybe, I don't.
I do love that. AOC maybe, I don't know. I was like, George Clooney? Now, and then Barack Obama in the mix as well. Now, this is particularly hilarious, again, because there's really no emerging leader that's stepping forward to take kind of the reins, all right? Nobody's stepping into kind of the gap left by Kamala Harris and power kicks Tim Walz to effectively lead on the inside. Right now, if Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer, the two kind of de facto heads of a party, whenever you have an opposition party, the minority Senate leader and the minority House leader usually end up being kind of the de facto head of the party, at least for a while, interim, you might say. Well, every time Chucky or Hakeem Jeffries step out in front of the podium, everyone wants to know why you covered up Biden's cancer and his dementia and his death in office. And how early did you know? And why didn't you share this with anybody? So they're essentially hiding in a corner and just hoping upon hope that everything goes away. So, whenever you have kind of a gap in the Democrat Party and the Democrat leadership or the officials, the elected representatives themselves are not around or are being arrested or charged with assaulting federal officers or major mortgage fraud scams, well, Politico steps in to fill the gap. Good old Politico has decided that this is now the time to announce, according to Bill Scherr over at Politico, 21 unexpected heavy hitters for a Democratic shadow cabinet. Ooh. Okay, maybe not the ooh I was going for. That was a little more scintillating kind of an ooh. But in fact, yes, ooh, the shadow cabinet. Now, you may say, wait a minute, haven't I heard about this whole shadow thing before? Well, you have. There were supposed to be a series of shadow hearings where Democrats from the House and the Senate would interview people on the floor of the Senate amid the janitors sweeping up at the end of the day. And then they had one hearing and it was really lame and no one cared. And it was on like C-SPAN 14. Next to ESPN 8, The Ocho, and Corncob TV. So no one cared. Well, now Politico's back, so maybe you won't have a shadow Congress or shadow hearings. You'll have a shadow cabinet. That's the way to win the voters. And the people that the Politico author has picked, the new maverick leaders, to what they say, like put Democrats back in the favor of Americans. So again, admitting off the top of the bat, Democrats suck. People do not like the Democrats. They hate it. Can't stand the nonsense. So we got to get like some shadow operatives in here to really make them popular again, right? That we're trying to say we need a Trump, but on the left. We need an Elon Musk, but on the left. Okay, sure. Now your RFKs and your Tulsi Gabbards and your Trumps and your RFK. Yeah, they used to be on the left, or your Elon Musks. And yeah, sure, they were shoved over to the right, but these are going to be different. And the people that this Politico author has picked, my oh my, certainly special. So first up, for Secretary of State, so they've actually just went ahead and created their teen girl crush wish list for what they really, really, really want in the White House. So we're not just going to have a Secretary of State, we're going to have a shadow Secretary of State. And first up, they've picked Samantha Power. The name exudes majesty, does it not? And you may not know her because, you don't know most of the unelected bureaucrats that caused misery and woe in Americans' lives as much of the time as they've served. Samantha Power was Obama's UN ambassador. Because we all remember that the Obama administration had just a stellar record with the UN. And then she was Biden's director of USAID. USAID, the organization that was spending your taxpayer dollars on transgender comic books to South America and Sesame Street knockoffs in Iraq and spreading atheism in Nepal. Those wonderful programs. So strong start. Then we've got Lena Khan for the Shadow Secretary of the Treasury. She was the Federal Trade Commissioner under Joe Biden. She was the individual who blocked Microsoft and the entertainment company Activision Blizzard from merging. Why? Just on a feeling. She didn't wait for any kind of a hearing, any kind of investigation. I just really don't care for that kind of a merger. She then, in 2024, blocked a merger of the grocery store chain Kroger and Albertsons. Why? Well, as she told the good old Hassan Piker himself, a wild interview to take, given that he's, in all but name, a genuine neo-Nazi. Hassan, she told that the reason she blocked Kroger and Albertsons from merging is because she was worried about the employees, the workers. Oh, we don't have it lined up? What a shame. After that, we've got General Charles C.Q. Brown Jr. for the Shadow Secretary of Defense. And this was a guy that Trump canned right as he came into office. This particular general from the Air Force, again, the left likes to tout these combat missions that he flew, which of course is a good thing that he did that. He also issued an order instructing the Air Force to specifically discriminate against individuals who are white and male. Now, that's what you want in your United States military, isn't it? You just a little bit of the old absolute horrible, horrific nonsense. That's good. I always appreciate just open-faced discrimination and shadow super secret cabinet members. Then for the Shadow Attorney General, we have Letitia James. Yes, that Letitia James. You remember Letitia James, the individual who threw an absolute fit, who lost her marbles because the Trump administration found out she was committing serious mortgage fraud and went on such incredible rants like, I went to Brown University. I'm prepared for defending my massive case of mortgage fraud. Oh, man, it looks like we've got a bit of trouble on the clip side of things this evening. That's a real shame. We'll try to get that working for you here pretty soon. We've got John Tester, Secretary of the Interior. We'll come back to him in a minute because he's out from Montana. He's kind of got the left's ideas for brilliant, incredible, just outstanding, amazing manliness. We've got John Boyd Jr., who, I kid you not, they have selected to be the Shadow Secretary of Agriculture. Why? Oh, well, because he wears a cowboy hat. That's it. He's a Democrat who wears a cowboy hat. Now, he also happens to be for a $5 billion program in reparations for Black, Native American, and Hispanic farmers. So the Democrats' massive move forward, that they are, again, sliding into position here as the saviors of the Democrat Party. And again, it really does boggle the mind when you look at some of the things that this party is moving forward with. That they've got the reparation man over for your Secretary of Agriculture, Mark Cuban for the Secretary of Commerce, man who said that diversity, equity, and inclusion is, it's not really about hiring people of only a specific color and gender and sexual preference. It's just about, hiring people with a certain gender and, sexual preference. So very, very good stuff over on that side of things. You've got Josh Green of Hawaii for Health and Human Services. Given his record on obstructing the rebuilding of Maui and also preventing Hawaii from modernizing its fire measures. We talked to individuals when we were on the ground over in Maui about the fire departments that were shut down by the local and state government. Again, really horrible, awful series of decisions. You've got Mary Barra, who they have selected to be their shadow secretary of energy. And she's the CEO of General Motors. Now, it is rather humorous that this is the lady who sunk $10 billion into an electric car project over in GM that, as Fortune describes it, basically turned General Motors' crown jewel into a serious liability and a series of lawsuits. So, given green energy's horrible, horrible record with taking government money and producing anything for it at all, excellent. We'll be back on the radio side of things in a second. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. All right, over on the live stream here, just a few to round these out for just a moment. It truly is spectacular. I really can't believe it. You have Governor Katie Hobbs of Arizona for Secretary of Education, the governor that has consistently vetoed and blocked more measures supported by both parties in Arizona than almost any governor who's vetoed measures on things like school choice. The Arizona Department of Education has a horrible, horrible, horrible record under her leadership. So, of course, she's their pick for their shadow Secretary of Education. Celebrity and comedian Jon Stewart for Veteran Affairs. Okay. I'm grand. Again, serious Politicoing over here at the moment. For the EPA, we've got Bill Nye.
Bill Nye here. Please consider the following. You have to vote, everybody. North Carolina, you have to vote. You have to vote Harris Walz because the climate is changing. Our climate is changing. North Carolina is going to suffer from sea level rise. We have sunny day floods. We have mudslides. That's all a result of the world warming because you and I are living in it. So we got to make changes. The other side, as I like to call it, does not even acknowledge that climate change is happening, let alone have a plan for it. So everybody, let's vote Harris Walz, and then North Carolina is that close.
Narrator, it was not, in fact, that close at all. Also, again, the same beach that he was talking about that was going to be underwater, because of the climate change, has not, in fact, changed its water level on low tide and high tide for like 100 years. So, as for all of that industrialization raising up the oceans, no. I do enjoy the idea that their big scientific expert that they've dragged to this particular position is a guy who was a graduate with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and everything else in his entire life is honorary. He has 6 doctorates that are all just randomly awarded by universities because they liked that he had a kid's science show. Which, by the way, he now says things that are completely opposite to the things that he said on his kid's science show. Again, incredible, incredible stuff. It boggles the mind. By the way, lastly, this is something that I had kind of a hunch. I sent producer Daniel on a little bit of a dig during the prep for the show today. They've suggested Governor Laura Kelly, Democrat governor of Kansas, as the head for the Office of Management, which is basically the individual who's in charge of a lot of staffing recommendations for the federal agencies. I really enjoyed this pick because Politico is not even hiding the ball. What is different about the governor of Kansas? Again, she's a blue governor with a mostly red state here. Says, according to the Kansas Policy Institute, there was a significant addition of government jobs in 2024, with 5,100 more government jobs to the state of Kansas added over the past year, as reported by KPI. So the lady they want to put in charge of their staffing is the person who is responsible for single-handedly the most employee additions to government added in any year. Wow. again, I for one, am not necessarily shocked. I am really enjoying how transparent this particular move is. And all I can say is full steam ahead, by all means. Throw these fools out there with Jasmine Crockett. Get them out in front of everyone. We haven't even talked about the Nashville mayor who they want to make the Secretary of Transportation because they have to like go back and try to pretend just upon all that they are that Secretary Pete Buttigieg was qualified to be the Secretary of Transportation, even though he never did anything except to be a mayor. Now, of note, the mayor of Nashville is currently under federal investigation for aiding and abetting illegal immigrants and the obstruction of justice. So yeah, please, left, you go right ahead. You trot these goobers right out in front of every one of us. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be back in a second. We're going to catch the radio crew up. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
When last we left off on the incredibly horrific Biden cover-up scandal, which at this point is in fact a 3-layer shepherd's pie cover-up from hell, we had Joe Biden, who most likely had severe prostate cancer. By the way, incredible how that disappeared from the news all of a sudden. And anyone noticed how that's just got whoosh, Memorial Day weekend happened and all of the outlets that were covering it decided, well, you know, unless we've got Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson ready for a book interview, we're not covering this anymore. That Joe Biden, who likely had prostate cancer way back into at least 2020, most likely 2019, 2018, who was encouraged to run for the presidency, and then after he won the presidency under that weird basement campaign, then showed serious signs of mental decline way early back. And not only did he notice it, but the media noticed it. They chose to say nothing. They obstructed. They obfuscated. They tried to make as sure as possible that anyone who spoke out against any kind of Biden action or suggested that any kind of a Biden action or statement was due to a mental deterioration, that they were wrong and they were evil, including people like Jake Tapper, trying to suggest that, oh, well, they were just picking on kids with stutters. Oh, how terrible and mean and awful. And it turns out, after the Kamala Harris election was a disaster and Biden essentially died on stage, that the media now has come forward through, again, the likes of CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson, suggested, yeah, it turns out that not only was Biden dead, and not only does Biden have cancer, but everyone knew about it, everyone's been covering it up, and it's a complete disaster. They, recognizing perhaps that they have now done their due penance of saying, I'm sorry that I actively covered up the death of the President of the United States for years. Now they're moving on to what I would argue is probably one of the things they were hoping to get to from the very beginning, which is, I really don't think Biden was alive. And you know what? I think that Donald Trump is just as bad. I really don't see, from my perspective or really anybody's perspective, and I'm quite serious with this, I really don't see how you can have anybody at all who is so desperate to cling to the idea that they have to make Trump equivalent to Biden, that this is going to be the move that convinces voters. Because again, Trump is on TV every single day. He is on camera every single day, nonstop, without any changes, no matter what. It's not the same. But here we have people like Alex Thompson over from Axios trying to make this claim.
If you take the lessons learned from the book, both about where the country is on having elder presidents, and more importantly, where the media is there a double standard in which, in a way, the way the media covered Joe Biden's health versus Donald Trump's health during the campaign? And certainly now, is there a double standard with the way we are covering it? I mean, are you out there also investigating and reporting about Trump's health in the same rigor that you did this book?
I'm so glad you asked this question, because while we didn't know that much about Joe Biden's health, we know even less about Donald Trump's health. He was completely untransparent during the 2023-2024 campaign. He has not been transparent since, and there is no mechanism forcing him or any future president to being transparent about their health. He could be on anything. We really have no idea. So I think it's like a really vital question. I will say that in 2023, I wrote an entire piece about how Donald Trump had not been transparent about any of his health. The last month or two, I admittedly have been busy with this book, so I have not returned to the subject. But I think it's completely fair. Donald Trump was older on his inauguration day than Joe Biden was on his. Donald Trump's health is completely fair game, and there should be an incredibly investigative reporting onto how it's affecting his job as president.
Well, even if he's not releasing his
that is incredible. First of all, that's not going to hunt. That ain't. I'm sorry. That is just not happening, Captain. Best of luck to you. In fact, good luck. I hope that you find what it is that you're looking for in this life. The move you're going to is, well, Donald Trump is really not transparent at all, with his particular medical records. And so what the American people need, what I need, is to see that Donald Trump be all of this other kind of nonsense. And it isn't going to work. It's not going to work. And the reason that it is not in any way, shape, or form going to function with the American people is, number one, we can see Donald Trump every single day. Number two, because anytime that Donald Trump jumbles up his words in a sentence, anytime that Donald Trump uses the wrong word or makes a misspelling over on X, for example, the media treats it immediately, without any hesitation, as though Donald Trump is on his deathbed. That's not going to fly with Americans. And then finally, number three, there are still people in the media and the Democrat apparatus that are desperately trying to cover up for Joe Biden. So that's not going to play. Now, Jake Tapper has tried doing kind of the same thing as Alex Thompson, so this isn't just kind of a one-off.
It's cabinet secretaries.
Interesting. How has writing this important book, investigating the Biden presidency, Jake, informed you about how to cover the current president?
Well, I just think in general, not Trump specific, but in general, I think that the press corps, and I'm certainly including myself, needs to worry less about politeness when it comes to these health issues, and needs to be even more aggressive when it comes to demanding transparency on health issues when it comes to the president. President Trump, while he appears healthy, he has not been transparent about his health records. And I think that that's something that the American people have a right to.
There we go. So again, now that the shoe is on the other foot, Tapper's already, Trump hasn't been transparent at all, which, by the way, of all of the things that Donald Trump is, a lack of transparency about his personal life and what he wants and what he thinks ain't one of them. Of all the things Donald Trump is not transparent about, Donald Trump is more transparent. He loudly proclaims, anytime he has the opportunity to, the maximum amount of information that he can share. As was suggested by a friend of ours over at the Media Research Center yesterday, in fact, it's usually more likely that you'll see Trump staffers kind of keeping an eye out for Donald Trump saying perhaps too much, because again, he's just kind of throwing it all out there. And during the campaign, I seem to remember Donald Trump saying, hey, you, me, Joe, let's go take a physical. Let's take a cognitive test, you and me. And also let's play 18 rounds of golf because let's face it, I'll kick your tail on a handicap. And Biden was like, no, I'll kick your lasagna up and down the course. And when my cricket team's got you on the gridiron at Oklahoma. And that was that entire debate. Remember that Donald Trump was considered a very terrible, awful, horrible person because he suggested that Joe Biden and he prove their physical health to the United States populace. All of a sudden, well, Donald Trump's not very, anyone seen him lately? Trump does like 13 press conferences a day. Our poor Daily Signal White House correspondent Elizabeth Mitchell, the poor thing's run ragged with all of the stuff that she has to cover because the administration truly doesn't stop. We'll be back for the radio crew over in just a second. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. Now, there is other news going on. Oh, sorry, how could I forget? Jasmine Crockett has also decided this is the time to trot this out. Best of luck to her.
seen as the world leaders that we historically have been, the world deserves better. It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve, but this is just absolutely deplorable.
So
I love it. I love it. I do. I really do. This same tired thing they're going to try out. Well, it's just deplorable. The idea that, oh man, no one can see he's clearly falling apart. Oh, it's just Keep trying that. Good luck. Best of luck to you, in fact. Over the news also, CBS, Scott Pelley, one of their 30-year veteran reporters, has decided now is the time to announce to Wakeland that it's some graduate commencement address, which, by the way, commencement addresses have just become Oscar acceptance ceremonies for people, where they get up and they yell about something political and then they go sit down while college students are hungover and they just want to leave. Or the graduates, I should say. So here's Scott Pelley saying that the end is here. At least he's not wearing a barrel and holding a cardboard sign.
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools,
the dramatic pauses,
our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts.
What?
The fear to speak in America. Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. There's nothing new in this.
Okay. That's again just real special. It's just old man yells at cloud consistently. That's all that it is. Last thing here. No, we'll save that one for the next. The university system is starting to feel the weight of violating civil rights law. Harvard University, after years of trying very desperately to get away with just anything that was discriminatory in the way that they favored, has decided, at least in this particular point in time, not to stop doing any of the actions that violate federal law. And the Trump administration's like, okay, well, you probably aren't going to get any more money. And so Harvard said, no, we're going to keep doing it because God forbid Asian students or Jewish students or white students get into this university. We're changing those SAT scores, dang it. Again, best of luck to you. I will say that it is funny. They did, in fact, for the first time since the 1940s, remove a professor's tenure. Why? Oh, because she was fraudulently changing half of the statistics in all of her academic writing. So I don't want to hear any whining about how that's America's best institution for learning. We'll be back in a second. We're going to pick up the radio crew. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal. A couple of things to react to today that are particularly special in the broader news landscape. First of all, the media is clutching every single pearl that they have about Harvard University, who the Trump administration is now suggesting that because they continue to violate civil rights law, because they continue discriminatory practices, well, then not only will the federal government cease, in a way, to give them any new money, but, you know, maybe the Trump administration goes through and cancels any kind of contracts at all. Period. You know, we just go through and slice the current contracts, you know, because if you're in contract with the federal government, you have to continue to abide by the law. I know, incredible, shocking. The Trump administration has made it quite clear that discriminatory policies are not going to be allowed. This has people like David French, who at one time, a long, long time ago, was a conservative, and then decided that he could be the guy who essentially says really inflammatory things about why conservatives and Christians are actually bad, and the true will of God is making excuses for really, really, really bad decisions. So like he'll write an article like the conservative case for letting your wife cheat on you, and really weird stuff. So here's David French, who I guess I forgot how whiny this man is, saying that, well, the only reason that Trump would target Harvard is, you know, it's viewpoint discrimination.
Well, again, this is political retaliation. I mean, look, there are good reasons to fund trade schools, but one of those good reasons is not to punish other academic institutions. So fund trade schools on their own merit, fund Harvard on its own merit. But there's one thing I think we really need to drill down on. What the administration has done a very good job of selling, at least part of the public on, is this idea that they're holding Harvard accountable for anti-Semitism, that they're the ones taking action to hold Harvard accountable for anti-Semitism. It is very important to note that there are ways to hold Harvard accountable. And in fact, there is a lawsuit working its way through the federal system right now holding Harvard accountable for anti-Semitism on campus after October 7th.
So that's what he's mad about. He's like, well, you know, Trump says that he's, you know, combating anti-Semitism by not letting foreign nationals here on student visas set fire to campus buildings and you know, vandalize and assault students and batter students and commit acts of theft and call for massive violence. Well, yeah, sure, that might be a bad thing. And sure, Trump, you can't like fault the Trump administration for going after those things. So he's like, well, there's a lawsuit working its way through the courts. The executive branch is in charge of enforcing the law, not the judicial branch. The judicial branch decides what the constitutional interpretation and adherence of certain laws are. But no, I'm afraid not. Also, some representative I've never heard of who happens to be the Democrat representative of the House for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Remember Maryland man, the MS-13 dad, you know, who beat his wife and participated in human trafficking that the Trump administration sent back to his homeland, a prison in El Salvador. So the representative of the district Kilmar Abrego Garcia was staying in decided to celebrate and remember and honor Memorial Day by flying down to El Salvador and doing a big photo shoot media tour. Because again, nothing honors the sacrifices of America's troops by advocating on behalf of some illegal immigrant wife beater.
I'm the congressman that represents Kilmar. I came all the way down from the United States after we contacted their ambassador, after we'd made formal requests to our ambassador to the El Salvadoran government. And we came here to visit him today. And now they're telling us we got to go all the way back to El Salvador, to San Salvador to get a permit. That's ridiculous. We ought to have a chance to come in and visit. They knew we were coming. They knew why we were coming. And they know we have the right to do this. So they need to just cut the crap, let us get in there and have a chance to see him and talk with him. We got his.
They do not, in fact, have a right to do this. See, if an American citizen were in custody of another nation, then yeah, I mean, you would absolutely have the right to see any American at any point in time, anywhere on the face of the globe that's being punished by a foreign power. For example, there's some kind of a streamer, I guess a prank video guy who went to, was it Malaysia or the Philippines? And he started pranking a bunch of people there, and the government threw the book at him because what he was doing was extremely disruptive and disgusting. And He's facing Thailand? Vitaly, yeah. He's facing like, what, 15, 20 years in prison for that? The government of the United States is allowed to see him whenever. They can send the consulate over, you can see him. The problem is, Kilmer Abrego Garcia is a citizen of El Salvador who committed capital crimes in El Salvador before he came to hide in the United States as a member of MS-13. The United States has no right to see him. None. Now, if Kilmer wanted those kind of protections, he could have filed to be a migrant or filed to be an immigrant or filed for a visa. Did he do any of that? No, he trafficked humans because, you know, like all decent Maryland fathers do. That brings us over to what I have to say is one of my favorites
today.
From the last couple of days of news. Apparently over the weekend, and I'm not sure, I don't think this was on Monday, but it was right before Monday, Chicago's mayor, Democrat Brandon Johnson, who is currently under investigation for only hiring people of a certain color to government positions in Chicago, which I don't know if you know this, but you want a cushy life, government position in Chicago is one of our nation's oldest corrupt traditions. So Brandon Johnson gets out in front of everyone amid record disapproval ratings and decides to celebrate the most American holiday of them all.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people.
Do you know how many of those 1.2 billion people are United States citizens? None of them. Do you know how many of those territories in Africa are owned by the United States? None of them. But what could be more American than just in general, a totally huge, diverse continent with people of Arabic descent and European descent and kind of Congolese African descent and Western African descent, not to mention the vestiges of colonial descent. Not cohesive at all. In fact, Africa's rather famous for not being cohesive. Do you know what people in Africa don't celebrate? Africa. Like, you're never going to see a parade in Botswana or in Kenya. Like, you're downtown Nairobi, like, today we celebrate Africa Day. Like, no one's doing that. They celebrate Kenya. They celebrate Botswana. You might see, perhaps, an Egyptian parade in Egypt. Italian parades in the 30s, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, you don't see parade. The only country on earth that just says, I really got a virtue signal. Let's say, Africa. And it's like, Mayor Brandon Johnson, which country in Africa are we gonna talk about? Oh, just Africa. Just Africa in general.
With diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage.
Again, never rich traditions, cultures, and heritage of anyone else, anywhere else. Only when they have Asia Day or Africa Day is it time to start talking. Again, you never see Mayor Brandon Johnson participate in Oktoberfest. You never see Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson like participating in Christmas traditions. You never see Mayor Brandon Johnson participating in any like Hispanic heritage holiday other than Cinco de Mayo, which I'm pretty sure he thinks is short for mayonnaise.
The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe.
Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who is this person who's like, you know what? I'm so glad that this continent, this massive landmass has people here in my city. Again, it's just the virtue signal. Chicagoan people in Chirac can't eat. They're getting shot constantly. The kids can't read. But oh, thank God, we have a little social media video right before Memorial Day, a holiday that deserves remembering, celebrating a continent. Like this is Sesame Street. Today's show is brought to you by the continent Africa.
And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric of our amazing city. So this Africa Day,
look, the stereotypical music that he's got. Doom ba doom ba doom boom ba doom. Again, I'm sorry. I need just for a second. there are, again, to get up in front of the world and say that Africa has a lot of diverse countries and cultures, all of these different demographics, and then to make your big case while playing the most 1970s stereotypical, like steel drum and marimba music. Yes, my favorite region of Africa, the Caribbean. Like, why? He's such a clown. He is such a clown. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I will give props to Deborah in the comments. I'm amazing he isn't wearing his kente cloth, his scarf, and taking a knee. Just incredible stuff. Props to Brandon Johnson for being hilarious. Radio crew will catch you in a second. It's the Tony Kinnett cast. Oh man. Oh, that's true. I don't know how many times he's visited Africa, but Mayor Bass of Los Angeles, who just got back from Ghana, we did find out today that after the Los Angeles fires and the Palisades, after that incredible amount of destruction, you remember Trump visited LA and sat down with Newsom and a bunch of random city bureaucrats and Mayor Bass, base whatever. And he said, you need to essentially cut all the red tape and let people start rebuilding now. There have been, I'm not joking here, 10 building permits that have been allowed since that fire. It is May, the end of May, 2025. And only 10 building permits have been granted in Los Angeles. Hundreds, thousands of residences and properties were burned to the ground. 10 building permit. If that's cutting red tape, I would sure hate to see, I would really, really, really hate to see what on earth not cutting the red tape is. What's this next clip we've got here ready to go?
He meets.
Oh, yes, Judge Dugan. So remember Judge Dugan from Milwaukee. Sorry I'm previewing the clips. For some reason, our streaming software for the show went through and just obliterated all of the clips we had loaded. So normally I have things kind of labeled and ready to go. I have no idea. I've got clip roulette over here. Thanks for kind of bearing with us on this. Mayor Judge Dugan, who we were promised when ICE and the Trump administration arrested her for the obstruction of justice because she snuck an illegal immigrant out of the courthouse and distracted ICE agents. We were told that really that's not true. She just kind of let him out and the feds chose not to arrest him so they could get to Dugan later.
He meets his attorney in the hallway and walks towards Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom.
We now actually have the video showing
federal agents who are sitting on a bench. They are there to detain him. After
that it just so happens
the agents turn to each other and appear to confirm his identity amongst themselves.
That she directly and overtly obstructs justice. I love all of the camera footage that's coming out. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
But a few moments later, Judge Dugan and another judge approached the agents sitting on the bench. A criminal complaint against Dugan later said she was alerted to their presence by a court official. That complaint says during this interaction, Dugan and the agents disagreed over the type of warrant they had to arrest Flores Ruiz. According to the complaint, Dugan ordered the agents to go to the chief judge's office.
She does not have the authority to order federal agents in a public setting anywhere. By the way, they're making it sound as though this is her courtroom. She wanted them to leave. They're not in the courtroom. You're not allowed to do that. If I choose to go, and by the way, I have been to the Milwaukee County Courthouse. I have, when I spent time in Milwaukee at the Academy of Excellence. When you're not busy getting stabbed in the second ward, you too can go over to the Milwaukee County Courthouse and sit on that bench. And Judge Dugan and all of her massive daily calorie regiment can't say boo about you sitting on that bench, much less feds.
Video shows her pointing them through a double door. She then turns back to speak with other agents further down the hall and orders them through the doors as well. Shortly after that, with the agents gone from the hallway, Eduardo Flores Ruiz and his attorney exit into the hallway through a different door.
Yeah, that's obstruction. That is, there you go. We're going to bring the radio crew back from commercial and talk a little bit about the latest live action disaster. It's the Tony Kinnett cast here on The Daily Signal.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
So typically on a Tuesday, we do a little What You Watchin' with Stephen Kent. But unfortunately, he was detained, not by ICE. He had other things that he was up to today. So Allison Lemons, our board operator over at WIBC, you're looking forward to seeing Lilo and Stitch, the live action by Disney. Am I correct?
Yes, I am. I feel like most millennials are very stoked about this. Because, again, through the late 90s and the early aughts, it was the renaissance, really, of Disney animation. A lot of phenomenal stuff that was brought out. And Disney burst through the door and started announcing all of these live-action remakes that no one was asking for. And one of them, the last one, really, is this Lilo and Stitch. And it was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed Lilo and Stitch. The music, phenomenal. The animation, phenomenal. The story, amazing. Characters, it's just a good movie. And I'm sorry, Allison, I know you're excited, but Disney ruined this one too. No.
They did. So if you could sum up the plot of the first Lilo and Stitch, the classic, what would you sum it up as, just off the top of your head?
Okay, so an older sister watches over her younger sister. The parents are no longer living, so they adopt a dog to help Lilo in the world socialize, and they realize the dog is an alien, and then they become a family.
Why do they adopt the dog? Like, tell me about Bubbles. What is he there for?
Oh, wasn't after Lilo got in a fight with some girls, and so she needed a companion, really, right?
Yeah, so Lilo, again, because their parents are dead, the younger sister is going to be taken away by CPS.
Oh, that's right.
Because, again, they're saying Nani, the older sister, that she isn't qualified enough, responsible enough to take care of Lilo. And so the entire movie is really about the older sister doing anything and everything to be able to keep her sister. This is completely thrown out. I kid you not. The final scene of the Lilo and Stitch live action is Lilo being given to the foster care system. I'm not joking. So that Nani can go to college.
That's the end?
That's it. Yeah. So here, allow me to show you. So again, the entire theme of the first movie is Ohana. Ohana is this Hawaiian word which means family. No one is left behind. No one is forgotten.
What about Ohana?
He hasn't been here that long.
Neither have I. Dad said Ohana means family.
Huh?
Ohana means family. Family means nobody
gets left behind.
Or
forgotten. I know. I hate it when you use Ohana against me.
Okay, so in the original, that's the concept, right? Very sweet, wonderful. So this is a camera, someone who was very naughty, brought their camera to the movie theater, and they captured this scene from the new one. It's a little bit different, and I really don't like it. It's kind of gross.
I'm trying to go against what Mama and Papa said.
Because we were left behind. I know. All that stuff sounds so nice. It sounds really nice to me too, but that is not reality. This is reality. And I need you to start living in it with me.
Ah, yes. Nothing like the Disney idea of saying, well, sure, I mean, you want to have a family, but our parents abandoned us. They left us, and it's reality, kid. Smoke a cigarette and get back to work.
That was really Walt Disney's dream, really, was to tell people not to have hopes and dreams, but to live in the reality.
And it's awful. Also, they remember Jumba, like the big lovable alien, the guy who made Stitch. He had that lovable, kind of like pseudo-Eastern European accent. Do you remember?
Sure.
Yeah, he's great. So again, from the original, just a lovable character. Fantastic.
Hey, Jamburka Gabbly.
What? After all you put me through, you expect me to help you just like that? Just like that?
Fine? You're doing what he says.
He's very persuasive.
Again, fan favorite, love him. In the new one, he's just a really whiny. First of all, he's the villain. So they've cut a bunch of characters from the show. He's just an evil villain, a mean guy who sounds, at least from his accent they redid, because again, they don't want to do any accents that are questionable. He sounds like he's trying to sell you a shady crypto coin.
Your lab will be destroyed.
Okay, just leave me 626.
And 626
exiled.
Oh, come on! Bailiff! Wait! No, you can't do that!
So he's just like a whiny, like college sounding dude. It's awful, isn't it? Tell me you agree this is awful.
That sounds like a frat boy.
It is. It's terrible. There's no reason to do that. So originally, there were a lot of people who this got like some good reviews at the beginning because it's the people who have kids who can then like take to the theater immediately to see it, and it's doing well. As the movie, what we're seeing with a lot of these live actions is there's universal praise for it for a weekend, and then upon the second watching, or when people who were a fan of the first thing look at it a little closer, they're like, wow, this is garbage. It happened with The Little Mermaid. Had a great first weekend, and then everyone was like, why is the bird rapping? Why do we have this? So I'm sorry, I know the radio crew has to go. We'll catch you guys soon. We'll be over on the live stream. Thanks for helping us out with that, Al.
Oh, and at least they nailed Snow White, so.
Oh, no. All right, over on the live stream crew, very briefly here. I forgot about Snow White. We were listing all of the live actions, and it was so awful. I didn't even think about how awful the Rachel Zegler one was. For both kicks and or giggles, what stuck out to me is that the music in all of these is terrible too. Again, Lilo and Stitch originally was great. It had Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride. It had a huge tribute to Elvis. It was just, again, the music was excellent. In the original, the classic Little Mermaid from the 90s, the music is incredible. It's one of the best parts of the film. Again, phenomenal. Even in the best of in the best of ways, with the best of intentions, the newer kind of live action Little Mermaid is just it just lacks any feeling. It lacks that classic Jamaican accent that it seems really forced, and it's just, again, horrible.
Sebastian, if you had just seen it up there, the ship rode on the wind and they filled the sky with fire.
Okay, listen to me. The human world is a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they got going on up there. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake.
The audio's mixed wrong. So again, in the more classic Disney songs, the vocals are always louder than the background audio, and they would actually mix the instruments so that there would be room for the vocals no matter what. And they did this for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons is because people remember the lyrics. It's why every child sang Hakuna Matata from 98 to 2004 on repeat nonstop. But the worst thing of all, though, unfortunately has to do with some of the Lin-Manuel Miranda style nonsense from a song that no one asked for, because what did, the Little Mermaid really need? A horribly written rap that makes you want to shove your head through broken glass.
Will you just listen, Sebastian? I got that scuttlebutt.
Hurry up.
You'll be like, why would I drop that scuttlebutt? Okay, now huddle up, Buttercup. From the women who wash all the clothes to the hunter who arrows the bows, the chatter all over the palace is that your Prince Eric is gonna propose.
It's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary. Oh, hey, the title is again, Unnecessary Hot Takes. In fact, the hottest take of all is that by focusing on this kind of nonsense, which was entirely unnecessary, Disney has missed out on a major opportunity to create some brand new stories with some talent in kind of the acting communities that we really haven't seen for a very long time. But they refuse to put that kind of effort into it. It's all algorithms and trending matter, and I really don't see it kind of going anywhere from this particular point. We're going to end things here this evening. Tomorrow, we have something really great for y'all. We got an opportunity to sit down with a guy who wrote The Sin of Empathy, talking a little bit about how the left has weaponized the ideas of Christian compassion to take it completely out of context of scripture or any actual use, and use it to bully people into political positions by saying you're really mean and stinky if you don't affirm everything about them. I will actually be hopping out of here pretty quickly over to DC and I won't be with you guys live tomorrow night, but we'll of course still have the episodes up. I'll be over with Tim Pool on Timcast. So you guys have an excellent evening. We'll catch you guys real soon. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal. Take care.